Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to another session of Indian Economy Essentials. And in today's session, let's try and understand what is the news regarding the MSP policy of the Government of India, that is a MSP subsidy given by the Government of India, and why there is a rising issue regarding India as a member of WTO and other members in the WTO regarding the MSP policy. Now, the context is simple here. Yesterday, in Hindu newspaper as well as many other newspapers, such article or a similar article was published. That is, India under fire at WTO for avoiding questions on MSP. Now, what is the concept all about? What is the issue all about? Let's decipher all of it. First and foremost, under WTO, World Trade Organization, there is one agreement. That is Agreement on Agriculture, AOA. Under Agreement on Agriculture, one pillar or one area that is covered is the idea of a domestic support. It is the idea of domestic support. Under domestic support, what we do is we'll divide the subsidies under three classifications. One is green box subsidies, second one is amber box subsidies, and the third one is blue box subsidies. Okay, green, amber and blue box subsidies. And this classification, the term green and amber, I'm pretty sure this classification is used based on an approach called as traffic light approach. Traffic light approach. What is the idea of a traffic light? Imagine you're going in a car or on a vehicle or in an auto. You look at the traffic, that is a traffic light is there. The colors are used in the traffic light. Green symbolizes you don't have to stop, you're allowed to move. Whereas amber represents the fact that you'll have to slow down because now we will shift it to red. So understand the logic here. Whatever subsidies which will not create any kind of a distortion. I repeat, whatever subsidies are provided by the government which will not create any kind of a distortion or negligible distortion in the market, these are classified under green box subsidies. Now, what is this idea of a market distortion? Let me explain it. Imagine there is a country 1 and country 2. Farmers are cultivating a similar crop. In country 1, the inputs that are used are, let's say, seeds, fertilizers, and let's say electricity. In country 1, let's say hypothetically, cost for all the three is a 10 rupee, 10 rupee, 10 rupee. That is, a cost of cultivation is 30 rupee. In country 2, let's say seeds are provided at a subsidized price of 5 rupee. Fertilizer is further provided at subsidized price 5 rupee, such as in India. Electricity is provided free of a cost by the government here. So the cost of cultivation in the second country is 10 rupee. There is going to be export which will start from country 2 to country 1 because these agriculture commodities are very, very cheap. So the argument is whenever a normal course of a trade, whenever the normal course of a trade is disturbed, the market behavior changes because of the government policies, we'll call such policies as trade distorting policies. Now, whenever you have a trade distorting policy, these are classified under the amber box. That is, those which will not cause any distortion or negligible distortion, green box. Those which will not cause any distortion are under green box, and those which will cause a distortion now will be kept under amber box. Now, for example, fertilizer subsidy in India. Just now we have seen fertilizer subsidy. Can I simply say a fertilizer subsidy provided by the government to the farmers in India is a trade distorting measure? Now many of you will ask me, agreed sir, how is that MSP is a trade distorting measure? Because the discussion around, right, is MSP, minimum support price, how is that MSP is a trade distorting measure? Let me explain this. MSP, minimum support price, it is a price at which government will purchase food grains. Now imagine MSP for rice is announced by the government and it is high. It has been increased. Now when the MSP offered by the government, that's the price that is offered by the government is higher, cultivation of rice will increase. When the cultivation of rice will increase, supply to the market will increase. When the supply to the market increases, market prices will be lower. Now there is a trader in India. We look at the market prices of rice in India. It is lower, much lower compared to what is the price of rice in USA. So there is a possibility here. The traders will purchase rice in India, export this rice to USA because it is cheaper available in India. Now because it is exported to USA, the rice cultivators, wheat cultivators, etc. in USA will be affected by this policy. That's a precise reason MSP, minimum support price, it is one of the trade distorting measures classified under the concept of amber box subsidies. Now what is the idea of a blue box subsidy? Blue box subsidies are those subsidies which are trade distorting, but government will use it to limit, control production. For example, earlier, couple of years ago, China has introduced a policy or the scheme by the name of corn producer subsidy, which was an example of a blue box subsidy. In case of India, fertilizer subsidies, MSPs are example of amber box. PM Kisan initiative, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, it is an example of a green box initiative or a green box subsidy. And the importance is that any subsidy classified under green box, no limit. Government can provide any amount. Anything classified under amber box, there is a limit. Remember this. For developing countries, the limit is that they will have to provide maximum or up to 10% of value of production of the crop in 1 year under the amber box subsidies, which is technically referred to as aggregate measure of support. And the next point is that this 10% limit, it is applicable individually to the crops as well as it is applicable to overall agriculture sector. That is, for individual crops we can calculate it as 10%. For overall agriculture also 10% limit is applicable. And this limit technically is referred to as de minimis limit. It is referred to as a de minimis level or de minimis limit. Now the contention of Government of India against such policies that the number of poor farmers in India are very high. Number of population in case of India which requires food is also very high. Government has to provide lot of welfare. And because government is going to provide lot of this welfare, it will end up providing this through amber box subsidies, such as MSP, such as fertilizer subsidy. And remember this, Government of India runs various food distribution programs. We have National Food Security Act. Until now we had Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, which has been subsumed under NFSA for the current year now. So the argument of the Government of India is poor people or a population which is poor is very high in India. So what I will end up doing is, I will announce MSP, I will provide MSP, I will purchase a lot of the crops in order to provide welfare. And I want to ensure there is welfare. So by providing the welfare, by paying MSP, what I will do is, I will end up crossing the 10% limit. I'll end up crossing 10% limit. And if I cross 10% limit, the various member countries such as USA will drag me to dispute settlement body, file a complaint against me. Now in order to address this particular problem, in 2013, that is in the 9th Ministerial Conference in Bali, there was an introduction of peace clause. We introduced the idea of a peace clause. Now what is this peace clause? Under the peace clause, if a developing country, I repeat, if a developing country crosses the 10% limit, if they cross the 10% limit, then other countries will not be allowed to file a dispute against this country. Now this idea of a peace clause was initially introduced only for 4 years. That is from 2013 to 2017. Government of India was opposed to it. Argument of Government of India was, we want a permanent solution. We do not want a temporary solution like this. We want a permanent solution because we are going to continue to have food grains under the concept of public stock holdings. We will pay MSP, purchase and keep them under PSH, public stock holding. And that is the precise reason in 2014, this limit of 4 years on the peace clause was withdrawn, which means until and unless there is a permanent solution for this problem, there will be no limit on usage of peace clause. And because this peace clause will allow the member countries, developing member countries, to cross 10% and still protect themselves against dispute complaints of other member countries, India became the first country to use the peace clause. Have a look at this. India in 18 and 19 and 19 and 20 ended up providing more than 10% of value of production in the form of AMS, aggregate measure of support. And because it was more than 10%, Government of India said, I will use peace clause. But there are conditions here. What is this idea of a condition? You are not simply allowed to use peace clause without any guidelines. There are certain guidelines regarding how you are supposed to use peace clause. What are these conditions? 1. Whenever you will purchase the food grains, pay MSP and use the food grains for food distribution purposes, food security purposes, only such cases you can claim peace clause. For example, in case of India, we purchase food grains such as rice and wheat, use it under public distribution system. And if Government of India ends up crossing 10% because of that, you can claim peace clause. If you start procuring anything else, a commercial crop which you are not going to use for food security, you cannot claim peace clause. First one. Second one, whenever you want to claim peace clause, you will have to give lot of documents, you will have to provide lot of information to other member countries in the WTO. If they ask for any kind of a clarity, you will have to provide it. And that is the point of contention here. Other member countries, they are saying that, or they are alleging that we are asking Government of India for information, Government of India is not giving clarity to us. And Government of India in reply has stated, under Agreement on Agriculture, I am allowed to provide oral answers to you. Oral answers, there is no compulsion that I will always have to provide you written answers. And one more very important condition or the guideline regarding usage of a peace clause is, you can procure by paying MSP, but you will not be allowed to export such crops. You will not be allowed to export these crops. And there's a current affairs connection here. That is, after the war broke out between Russia and Ukraine, supply of wheat to the international market went down. Government of India asked WTO if they can relax these conditions so that Government of India, which has procured wheat at MSP, will be allowed to export. But no such relaxation has been provided, which means the condition is still very much applicable to the government. So these are certain very, very important points regarding the discussion that is there in the newspaper between the other members of WTO as well as Government of India on the MSP policy. Now, based on this, I have given an MCQ here. Consider the following statements regarding agriculture subsidies. The peace clause is available for all the countries. Of course, under WTO, statement 1 is wrong. India is the first country to use the peace clause. Statement 2 is correct. So the right option for the question will be option B here. So if you like these initiatives, please hit the like button. Provide your valuable comments in the section below. And if you're yet to subscribe to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS, kindly do it right now. Thank you. Have a great day.